So if you can join us on camera, you'll want to definitely do that. And then again, participation, because that's what this coaching session is all about. And if you've been with me before, then you know that we always start out with what's the good news. So it's been at least a month since we've last been together. So, and some of you are with us the first time. So go ahead and let's share with the group. Just take yourself off mute and share with us the good news you got.
I have some good news.
Let's hear it.
I had my first listing closing last Monday.
Hey, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. And you know, hey, even when they've been a while, it's like, look, they just keep coming once you can get the ball rolling. So Kenyatta, that's awesome. Congratulations. Who else has got good news for us?
I have my first closing on Monday.
Yay. What is that, a buyer, a seller?
It's a buyer. Yeah, they're the first time home buyers. So pretty exciting for them too.
Yes, it is. You know, it really, you know, that you should be able to do well when it's not about you, but you get excited more for them than you do getting paid for yourself. That's huge. What was your source on that, by the way?
It was from my sphere.
Excellent. Hey, Kenyatta, what about yours? What was the source on yours?
It was a referral.
A referral from a sphere of influence, right?
No, from an agent. Well, I guess, yeah. Kind of, yes.
Well, hey, listen, yeah. Other agents can be your sphere of influence. When I first started, you know, not everybody knows my story, but I had 17 years off where I hadn't sold any property. And then I started selling it because I could. And then I started selling because I had to. And that was in 2010. And about a third of my business that first year back selling full time, this was in 2010, it came from other agents. So at least a quarter, it might have been close to a third. So yes, real estate agents can be your sphere of influence. There's
That's
definitely
awesome,
an opportunity
Darwin.
to be able to.
I never heard that before. I had never heard you say that before. That's awesome and encouraging.
Yeah, no, I guess I hadn't, I don't really put it that way, but Jerome, I'm going to come to you next. But yeah, you'll always hear me often in a class say, sit with somebody you don't know. When we do lunch, go sit with someone you don't know, because, you know, for those that were at School of Hard Knocks, so Jerome was there, Dan was there, Sammy was there. We had lunch, and we've got agents from Port Huron, from Belleville, from Midland. It would make somebody make a lot of sense for somebody that's right here in the metropolitan area to get to know those people, because they'll do business. And actually there was a couple of people making calls, and that was a circumstance. So yeah, absolutely. Get to know other agents within the company and at other companies that are outside of our area. Jerome, go for it.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood, as Mr. Rogers once said. I have a success story in that I have a closing schedule for tomorrow, and it's for a seller, and it came from the corporate relocation team internally.
Awesome. So there's just another one. Jerome is one of our mentors, so that you know, but as you grow your business and you're in this full time, it would make sense for you to take a look at being part of the relocation referral team. And it is earning your way up to that. You've got to have the knowledge and the skills, but again, it's that same thing when you get down to it. So fantastic. Who else has got some good news that they can share? Anyone? If not, then that's the reason that we do this every other week. So let me ask this, because I can see actually all of you that are mentees were not at the School of Hard Knocks. Okay. And I think, like Addie, if I'm right, a part of that is because you work another job and you just couldn't make that work. One of the things that you need to write down, and this will be a task that you need to complete: goal projector. I need you to complete the goal projector. Now, let me rephrase that. You need you to complete the goal projector. Now, if you're going, what the heck is that? You need to get with your manager and or your mentor. You're going to complete that, and then I want you to get a copy of the end result. One for yourself, one for your manager, and one for your mentor. So as an example, who's actually, let's see, what's a fair number? I'm going to say made 20 contacts in the past week, or let's say that we made it 80 in the last month. Who's made 80 contacts? And if you're not on camera, I'm going to guess you're telling me you haven't done it. And if I've got the experience and knowledge I do, you haven't done it. Now, here's the reason then for the goal projector. I can tell you, if you're looking to be able to make any money in this business and you don't want to be at the job that you're at, you need to make at least 20 contacts a week. Okay. And those are, if I'll define those for you, and it's the same contacts as, let me see if I've got, when we're doing these, all right, the weekly business plan, this should coordinate with what you develop on the goal projector. So see, the goal projector basically is going to say, how much money are you going to make? And it'll help you calculate how many closings you need to have. And once you know the number of closings you need to have, it'll tell you how many appointments approximately you need to go on per week. And it will tell you how many contacts approximately that you'll need to make to set the appointments you need to get the closings that you need to make the money that you make, so that then you can also have the things that you've determined in regards to your dreams. So the goal projector is one. Write this one down also. I need you to make sure that you completed the 100 dreams. If you have, make sure your mentor and your manager have a copy. If you haven't, once you've got it, and by the way, when I say the term completely, it's a loosely used term. If you only came up with 70 in a couple of days of putting it together, I would consider that complete. You can add to it, but let's call it complete within a couple of days. Get a copy to your manager, to your mentor, and then put that in front of your face. Because here's the thing, if you're not already making 20 contacts a week minimum, then you're not doing what you got into this business to do. And by the way, I run numbers on these little reports that look like this that you can't see, but I can tell what everybody's doing. When I know most, and when I say most, 90% of you, maybe 95% of you are not doing what you got into this business to do. Okay. And here becomes the bottom line. We must talk to people, and you don't know how many to talk to until you've done the goal projector. On top of it, you don't have a reason to do these contacts because you haven't done your dreams. You don't even know why you're doing them. So if you have no job description, you don't know what you're supposed to do on a daily basis. You can't even hold yourself accountable, and your coach can't hold you, your mentor can't hold you accountable to your dreams because you don't know what they are. Okay. So those are two key pieces that we need to complete in the next 2 weeks. So Kenyana, what do you got?
I was just wondering the goal setting. That's the same one that's on 21 online because I think I did that one before.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you've got that completed, just take and print out a copy of what you've done and get that to both Luigi and to Brenda. I think Brenda's still taking care of you, right?
Yes, she is.
Yeah. Yeah. So just get a copy, because again, we don't know what to do to help you get where you want to go until we know where it is you want to go. You can't do what you need to do until you know where you want to go, because once you know where you want to go, we can put the roadmap in place. And that's what the goal projector is all about. Okay. So 2 key tools. Now, here's the next thing. Let me ask you this. I would think that we all know that we've got to be talking to people. So this is where we take ourselves off mute and we help each other. And we share and say, and this is the question, what's holding you back? So somebody go, I'm going to keep it that simple. What's holding you back?
Rejection.
So the flat out Kenyana, just, I can't handle the rejection. Is that a good way of putting it?
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
Okay. All right. Guys, I don't have any secret to that. The only thing I can tell you, and maybe mentors, if you've got something you would share on this, let's do that. But here's what I can tell you. Feel the fear and do it anyway. There's no option. We have to talk to people. And oh, by the way, even if I have a high level of success, I'm going to be rejected about 90% of the time. When I go on appointments, I'm probably going to be rejected anywhere from 25 to 50 to even 75% in the beginning. But I'm not looking at the ones I'm going to be rejected on. I'm going to look for the ones that I'm being told a positive to, which is yes. Let me give one more thought, and then I'll turn it over to you guys as mentors if you've got any input on this.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had 2 jobs for you,
Mm-hmm.
one of them, I would pay you $6,000 for you to just get one yes, where they sign a contract, and then that deal closes. Now, you might have to get 2 contracts signed to get the one to close. But for every one that you get, when it closes, I'll give you $6 grand. Okay. Now, I've got another job for you. I'll pay you $20 for every no that you could get. One will pay you $6,000. The other will pay you $20 for every no. How many no's could you get in 1 hour, by the way?
A lot.
A lot, right?
I'll
By the way,
stack.
what I would tell you is it should be at least 5 no's that you could get in 1 hour. Yeah, now start doing the math. If you put 8 hours into doing that, that's $800 a day. That's $4,000 a week. That's $200,000 a year. Which job do you want? This is group participation time.
Like the nose.
Right?
Yeah.
The
That's-
nose gets you closer to yes.
Yes. And here's what Jerome just led you to. By the way, this is what Jerome's saying. That's the same job. The math is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Could we
It's
have
the
both?
same number of contacts to get the yes, it is to get all those no's. So if I can change your mindset, get excited for every no. Matter of fact, just put a tick mark, put a $20 bill in, whatever it takes for you to realize that when you just got that no, you go, yes, thank you. That was an easy 20 spot. I've only got to get 4 more of those today. Right? Or however many that would be, excuse me, for the day. But again, I've only got to get 4 more for the hour and I made $100. Not a bad hourly wage, right? So guys, the 2 jobs are the same and they're both real estate sales. So mentors, what can you add to help overcome this aspect of rejection?
I'll take it, Darwin. No's are an indicator that they do need help. No's are good because that means you can ask another question. So the overall rejection of like when you get to the end of the call and they're like just not interested, yeah, that hurts, but it's through the process of like the scripts and just going through it and asking the right questions. At least for me, that's what stings me more is when I mess up one of those responses. If at the end of it I've pushed and I have them in a corner and they just hang up on me, I'll eat that no all day long because I went through the motions to get, I forced them to do that and I exhausted all my options. It's different than they just tell you no after you ask the first question and then you just hang up. You're like, oh, okay.
You
But
go,
exactly.
and you run away.
That's what hurts so much more. When you back them into the corner and they just hang up on you, that feels a hell of a lot better than just like, oh, okay, you don't want to have a realtor sell your house. All right. And just call the next one. It's all right. I can appreciate that. And just go on to the next question. Just ignore it and keep going till they hang up on you. And that's honestly the best technique that I have found, especially this boot camp has really reinforced it. And I enjoy it. And the no's are a yes in a way. Like the no, they're just telling you no because they want you to shut up. The key is don't shut up and keep asking questions.
Yeah. And, you know, Deanne, I think you're kind of taking it back to what I brought up yesterday in Hard Knocks, where I shared the story where I had to handle an incoming call really well because my daughter and my wife were in the vehicle with me. Now this is my adult daughter, and it's like, you know, okay, here's dad. Dad's this great real estate agent, trainer, educator, manager, yada yada, you know. So I got to have my daughter look up to me and hear me doing this all right. Bottom line is, I was just nailing the call. I mean, like Dan said, it was such a great job that, if you will, quote unquote, I backed them into the corner to where they had only 2 options. They had to say yes to an appointment, or what was their only other option?
Hang up.
They had to hang up. Guess which one they took? They hung up. And I got a big smile on my face and just said, oh, well, it was their only other option.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's where we need you to go. So I'm going to open it up, and then I do want to go back and get your guys' feedback from Hard Knocks, that the lessons you learned and what you might share. So anybody else, any other mentor got something that might handle this no thing, the rejection? You're ready, Paula, if you were going to jump in.
Have to look through the bifocals to see what it's like. So I've been rejected, but I don't like to call it rejection. I just like to say that they're just not ready. I think if we make ourselves feel like we've been rejected, that makes us feel like we're not so good. And really, everybody is good. So I would suggest that you no longer use the word rejected. Maybe it's more turned away for the time.
I do like that because especially with FSBOs, the follow-up is when you get them. So they honestly are just not ready in your first call. It's that 5th, 6th, 7th, or weekly, however it works. That's usually when you get them.
Yeah.
I like it. That's a great way to do it.
I've been screamed at. I've been hung up on. I've been called different names.
I don't know why, Paula, but we just lost your voice.
Oh, Let's
Oh,
see.
there you were.
Okay.
There you are.
I have been screamed at. I've been called names. I've been hung up on. They're just not ready. And actually they might not even be a good fit for me. So move on. Right. And
Not everybody deserves us.
for me personally, it's not as much as talking on the phone with people as talking face to face with people. You know, I got a deal a few years ago from the Meyer meat department, throwing my business cards in the meat department. And one of the employees saw it and said, "You're a real estate agent. Hey, we're thinking about trying to buy a house." So, okay, it took us a year of working together, but you just never know. So I say, you know, diss the word rejection out of your vocabulary and just say it's time, it's somebody else is waiting for me.
Yep. Yep. Matter of fact, you saw me just type into the chat room. There's no versus no. There's NO versus KNOW. And when somebody actually says no and are interacting with you, they're actually saying, I need to know more. They're given a response based upon what their current knowledge is. They're making a decision based upon what information they've gathered that's produced the result in the address or the response that they gave you. It simply means that they need to know more. So don't stop. And I think that was, Dan, one of the things that you got out of Hard Knocks was simply, no doesn't mean stop talking to me. They just said no to what they initially have from you, who you are, what you represent, and they need to know more. And the way that they'll get to know more is by you asking more questions after they've said no. So matter of fact, Montoya's joined us. And by the way, Alana, I'm going to ask you to share too, because I appreciate the message that you gave me last night. And I'm going to ask you to share that because I think it's great evidence. But Montoya, I want you to share your experience because I know, matter of fact, if you'd share where you were and where you are now and what the success was that you got out of attending the 3 days at Hard Knocks.
Can you hear me?
You're there.
Okay. So I well, I guess I want to start from the beginning. I took my pre-license course in February, and then when it finished, I studied for a couple months, passed my test the first time, and I checked out a couple brokers, loved Coldwell, so I stuck with them. I had no experience, no anything. I remember taking like a quiz that was on Coldwell Banker's website to like see if I was a good fit, and that was back in like 2020. So it's like I'm kind of circling around, like I did really find what I was supposed to be doing. And Jessica told me like when I first started that this class, the School of Hard Knocks class, was happening, and I definitely wanted to be a part of it because I didn't know anything about listing. So I figured it would be a great opportunity. The first class was when we got the little notebook and it had all the scripts in it, and I was just immediately like, oh my God, not scripts. I'm gonna sound like a robot on the phone. And I did at first. The 3 classes I went to, all 3, they really helped to be able to do that repetition and get used to the scripts, because I think at this point I'm not completely used to it, but now based on the responses, I kind of know which question to skip to next, or even if I just have to close at that moment. So
By the way, what helped you get to that point? What helped you get to that?
So it was the classes. It was sitting for call hours. I came to every call hour that we had after the first class. We started the call out to be able to.
And so it was almost less the class, but you were in the environment within the office, and then at the class, where you just picked up the phone and did what everybody else was doing, right?
Yeah, yeah. The accountability helps you, and to have everybody else doing it with you so you don't feel alone, like, oh my gosh, somebody else got hung up on. Okay, maybe I can call this one. I might get a bite. It kind of gives you that confidence to be able to call that next one. And if you get rejected, call that next one.
So really, it wasn't as much the class learning the scripts. It was picking up the phone and doing the scripts with live people that in the end, it's made the biggest difference for you.
Yeah, the script is a tool, is a good tool, but definitely having that confidence from the script to be able to figure out what you're going to say next, and the response pattern, getting used to that is helpful, just repeating it.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that you remembered that. Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
so, hey, so there's been a lot of calls. What was the results of all of your calls?
Okay, and so the most successful one, I got the listing appointment that I'm going to tomorrow. That one was, okay, so the first call, I've only gotten a few calls where I actually spoke like to people.
Wait a minute, you've only got a few calls, but you've got an appointment out of making a few calls?
Yeah, so the ones I picked up. So the first lady that picked up, she was an expired, and the realtor that she was working with was like the really best in his office. She was his co-worker for a while. She was just gushing on and on about him, but it was an expired. Long story short, her and her family were basically fighting over their mom's property, so they really can't sell it. So she's a lead, but I'll check in with her later. The second person is actually, I'm trying to figure out, because I didn't have to make too many calls to get that first listing. I'm not even gonna lie.
Right.
It had to have been that second or third call, but I can't remember what the second call was like. But the one that I got the appointment from, he just kept saying no, and I kept asking different questions from the script. That was all. That was all.
And how many times did we have somebody else say the same thing?
A lot.
Where it was right. I mean, a number of individuals came to the reality of what Montoya just shared with you and what Dan shared with you, which is if you hear the no, put it in whatever words no sounds like. You essentially, again, what Montoya and you guys have heard, she mentioned the response pattern. The response pattern is simply to repeat and acknowledge and then ask another question. Well, what we really helped everybody understand, and the point of them doing this is repeat, acknowledge, or acknowledge, repeat, and / ignore it. Because there's some things that they say, I'm going to acknowledge, I'm going to repeat, and ignore it, and ask a completely unrelated question. So that's kind of what Dan and Montoya have given you. So thank you for that. Alana, I want to go to you because I want you to address the aspect of no first, and then to just share the biggest thing that you learned out of being there. And by the way, Alana is one of our great mentors out of the great Northern office in Lapeer.
Yes, thank you, Darwin. So to address my comment in the chat, so the no is really what's telling you what you need to change to get the yes. So what we learned in the School of Hard Knocks was asking those questions. So when you get the no, shift it to get them to say yes. So if they're rejecting your price, well, why is that? Oh, I don't want to pay you a commission. Okay, well, that's something we can discuss. Let me talk to you about my different levels of service. Can we schedule an appointment that I can come see your home and discuss all these things with you? And if commission is their objection, then that's what you need to address to get them to say yes.
So that's fantastic. Now, Alana, by the way, obviously, if she's a mentor, she's already producing. Been in the business for a couple of years well, she made a mistake, started her business somewhere else. Then saw the light. Her ship came in and she swam out to it. She didn't wait. And so what was it, if you would, just share with the group what you've run into, what you got out of it, and now what could be brewing for you?
Yeah, so a lot of my business prior to doing the School of Hard Knocks was just my SOI. So it was a lot of referrals. My dad knows a lot of people, so I had all of his friends and they were all vouching for me, and I had a lot of business coming in. Well, what I thought was a lot of business. I was scheduled to close about 2.5 million this year with the School of Hard Knocks, just those 3 weeks of training, and really it was 3 days of class training. I'm adding another potentially 2.5 million. So I'm doubling my business just by calling for sale by owners, expireds, and even past clients that didn't sign on with me.
And how many for sale by owners did you call before class?
Absolutely zero, because I was terrified to call them. I didn't know what to say. I was afraid they would reject me and I would look silly because I wasn't, up on my scripts, and I just didn't feel comfortable. So absolutely zero before that class.
And now the one that you've got, share that story, how you could be doubling your production before the end of the year.
So this was a friend of a friend, and I went on the listing appointment about 3 months ago. It was a $700,000 listing. I finally got my luxury class taken care of, so I was ready to make those 3 closings, about $500,000 to get my luxury certification. It was my first one, so I wasn't familiar with it, and I went there and I made the big mistake of not having all parties there to sign. It was just the wife. So she was ready. She loved everything. She was ready to go, signed the paperwork. I left it there for the husband to sign. When he got home, he said that they're just going to do for sale by owner. They're not going to go with a realtor. They don't want to pay the commission. They don't need me. All the things where, it's like a stab in the heart. You thought you did a good job and then you don't get the listing. So through the School of Hard Knocks, I called her yesterday and I just, reached out to her and said, how is the for sale by owner going? Are you guys getting any buyers coming in? And she actually called me back and said that they haven't gotten anybody. She doesn't have the time to meet people there. She doesn't have time for an open house. So I just started with the subtle, well, let me hold an open house for you. And actually she was just trying to call me while we were on this Zoom meeting. So I'm going to head out there and talk with her and her husband again, potentially get the listing, but definitely hold an open house for her. And with that comes selling her mom's condo and putting them in a new home, which she's looking above 650,000.
I have a question for you. You will hold an open house without getting the listing signed?
Me personally, I would, because you potentially have the buyer coming in. So she is willing to work with a buyer's agent and pay that 3% commission. So if I don't get the listing, at least I could potentially get the buyer, and with showing them what I can do, I'm hoping to get the listing as well.
Got it.
Anybody want to add to that thought? Because here's what it is. Why do we do open houses? Let me say this. Yeah, it's not to sell the house. Now, the potential is, what I'd love is, when I hold an open house, to sell the house I'm in. But I know most, and when I say most, like 97% of them are going to not buy that house. But they did walk into your open house and said, hi, we're thinking of moving. I hope everybody understands that's the beauty of an open house. Most of the people who walk through that door are saying, hi, I'm thinking of moving. Now, that might be today, that might be a year and a half from now. And then there's a few who it might be a few years. Okay, there's those that might be 10 years. And by the way, when I say a few years, I had a listing and a sale come up because I did an open house and the people called me 3 years later. Literally just had somebody call me after 10 years. After 10 years, they called me. Guys, you never know. You're building a business. Do all the right things, but we're doing the open house to establish leads, not to sell the house. Again, great if we do, but let me get the leads. So when Alana says this to this person, she's hoping that, yeah, I'll have somebody walk in the door and they want to buy it. I get to represent the buyer. I get paid 3%. The seller's happy. I've just now added one individual to my sphere of influence. It can add, refer me to others. I got a sale out of it. I've added that buyer to my sphere of influence who can now refer me to others. But most of the times I'm getting leads of people who are walking in the door saying, hi, we're thinking of moving. So if you will, Alana is doing that FSBO a favor, but she's using them. I mean, right? When we get to, aren't you using them? You're here, you ain't got any other houses to hold open.
Right.
So Alana, what would you add to that?
I mean, you're not losing anything by doing an open house. If anything, you're just gaining experience. So if you come in and you don't get any buyers out of it, you know, you've at least shown the sellers, hey, you know, nobody wanted to put an offer in. Maybe we could look at it. It potentially could be the price. It could be your marketing. Would you mind sitting down with me so I can go over this with you and show you what I can offer? That's how I would go about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Jerome, what would you add, bud?
Well, I was going to let's make sure I'm open. Okay, I was going to add that I've had an experience before where the open house was a place to get leads, but I found out in the past that it was a job interview. People were coming to check me out to see what kind of agent I was because they needed me, and they just didn't say it when they walked in the door.
I love that thought. I love that thought. Great one. Great one. So let's see, there's a few things there, and what I'm hoping you're getting for those that weren't at Hard Knocks, I'm not promoting Hard Knocks. I'm promoting and informing you of what the results were because of what they did. The School of Hard Knocks did not give them the courage to make these calls. It was the experience that we forced them to do so that they could get $199 back and not be charged for a class. It was the part of being a part of the team that caused them to do the calls that gave them the experience that said, hey, this is what I do. So for those of you who weren't there, what am I trying to tell you that you need to do? Pick up the phone. Thank you, Addie. Yeah, pick up the phone. You are no different than anybody who was in that class. And if I shared with you, let me pull up our numbers because I want you to see this, because this is what would be normal should we decide to jump on board and do what we know we should be doing. Let me just get my email here yesterday. So there was about, I'm going to say we had probably about 45 people who during the sessions, these 3 days where we spent, I'm going to say 4 hours over the 3 sessions. In 4 hours, 45 people set 85 appointments. In 4 hours, 45 people set 85 appointments. With just those appointments, let's see. Now let me go to this. All together, between the 3 sessions and in just 2 weeks, 3 sessions, 2 weeks, these 45 people set 155 appointments. They did or attended 56 appointments. And out of going on 56 appointments, they took 25 listings. I just want to let those numbers settle in for a bit, because if you interpret what that would mean for yourself, that happened in, 4 hours, in the few hours that they put in between. Because look what let me hit that again. In session, they set 70 appointments. The total appointment set was 155. They didn't put that much time in between. Most of it was done during that time period they were in the 3 sessions. And that was in 4 hours.
Mhm.
What's possible? What would your life look like if you went on 3 appointments per week, took 1 listing per week? What would life look like? What could you do? Where could you go?
I was having those
What
thoughts.
could you have?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was having those thoughts on the way home on the way to an appointment yesterday after the camp, and I was like, what the hell would I do with like $150,000 to $200,000? I don't know what to do with it. And it reminds me that I need to redo my dream board, because I don't know what I'm making the money for. So even as you go, you got to refresh it. And I understand exactly. I don't know what to do with that money if I made it. I have no idea. So
yeah, matter of fact, for a lot of us, I have to say, when you dream wildly. And the reason you have to dream wildly is because you're not used to it. You're going, man, what's possible? And sometimes we don't know what's possible because we've never had the openness to dream like that. And I would share this: know that as you dream, life changes and the people around you will change. You will leave people behind who don't want to follow where you're going. But you'll have new friends who will encourage you where you're going to. They'll pull you along, they'll push you. But life will change. So if you're serious about making your life change and you want it to go in these different directions, dream wildly. And when that voice in your head starts saying, Dan, how you can't do that? Good Lord, that'd be like 3-4 times what you used to make.
Right.
You don't even know what you do when you get it. That's that voice that goes on in your head. And you just stop it and write it down. It's your dream. Let it happen. Okay? Very, very huge. Ariel, thank you for that feedback. I'm glad you appreciate it and you got that. It's wonderful. Wow. Let me have this now. I pray that you guys are actually talking to people. Let me give an encouragement. If you're working at home, stop it. Work in the office. Work in the office. The best place for you to be highly productive, highly supported is in the office. There's too many distractions around your home. Don't take me wrong, but your kids are your primary distraction. Now, there's the times when we have to. See, Alana's got living proof. We have to take care of them during certain times, but don't allow them to become your reasonable excuse why you cannot work. And Alana, thank you for being on here and actually showing that, because that's visible evidence that you can do it, but it is a distraction. The TV is a distraction. The things that you have around the house that you'd rather do are a distraction. The things that you have around the house that you want to do are a distraction. There's all these other things that you would rather do than do what you need to do. Get out of the house and into the office. And again, I know there's things like, Addie, I know you're the same circumstance. You've got children. I know many of you have another job, but get out of there, go to the office, and then make sure you realize one thing. You have to talk to people. If you're not interviewing for a job, you're not where you need to be. So I'm looking at about 14 minutes left for us. Alana, I'll come to you first, but what I want all of you to do is to go, I need help with, and like Kenyana threw it out, it was no's. But what do you need help with? Alana, go. What do you got for us?
I just wanted to make a point on the working from home thing. I do have a 2-year-old, so I started my business working from home. That's why I got into this business. I wanted to stay home with her. And I can tell you that myself to go into the office 2 days a week, full days, 9 to 5, my business was doing so much better. I was more organized. I was making my calls. I didn't have her in the background screaming, well, speaking of that. So when you set time to get into the office, just the atmosphere really helps.
I love it. Thank you for that. So what do you have, guys? What do I need help with?
Holding myself accountable to a schedule. I'll eat that one.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
So,
tough. It's
the first part, guys, and Dan's not the only one, because Alex and I jumped on this. It was, I won't call it a squirrel, but we didn't have it built into the class. It was just, we realized we needed to talk about all the things which are healthy. And that was mental health. That was physical health. It was how you eat. It was all this stuff. And of course, one of those that we had to get into was, what does your calendar look like? Now, Lord knows, I hope that you're all digital. When we roll things out, we give you Speedboard. And if you haven't got Speedboard, by the way, you got to tell me. But Speedboard, one of the first things it says, get yourself an account with Google. Now, it's not that I'm promoting Google, but they have Google Calendar, Google Contacts, Google Mail to Gmail. It's all there one place, and you don't even have to have your own computer. But we all have these things here, and everywhere I go, here it is. I have all of that, and if this dies, it doesn't matter because it's in the cloud. If my computer dies, it doesn't matter, it's on the cloud. If my tablet dies, it doesn't matter because I'm on the cloud. You need that kind of an account. It's just go with Google, but you need to put it into your calendar, and you need to control your calendar. So in sharing with the group and what I've shared with so many before, control the business, don't allow the business to control you. You cannot be afraid to say, I'm sorry, I'm not available. I have another appointment. Now, I'll share with you my calendar. Tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I am unavailable. My calendar is booked. Now, why? Anybody guess? I'm out of town, man. I'm getting out of here. Paula knows I got a 31-foot travel trailer. It's the last trip my wife and I are taking for the season. And then we winterize the travel trailer, and we wait until Labor Day when we take our next trip out again. So I'm unavailable. Does anybody need to know that that's what I'm doing? No. So if anybody asks for me this weekend, I have a simple statement. You know what? My calendar is full. I have no availability until Wednesday. Now, does anybody ask me to change that? Paula, what do you got?
I babysit my 2 grandchildren Mondays and Wednesdays every week, and I'm 24 hours with them. So I can talk to you on the phone, I can email you, I can text you. I'm just not physically available. I don't tell people that that's what I'm doing until after I get to know them really well. And then I say, hey, I want to heads you up. I do watch my the grandkids. But I think that when you tell somebody, my next available appointment time is whatever day it is,
Yes.
they reflect back at you as, wow, you must really be good because you're busy and I want you to work for me. I mean, some people are like that. Some people think that way. Some people might think, oh, well, then you're too busy to help me. Then sometimes you have to explain a little bit, why you're busy, because then you're being upfront with them and you're being honest. And that's another thing that honesty can help you with new clients.
Great one to bring up, Dan. Thank you. Jerome, what would you add?
I was just going to add, I need help with work-life balance because I'm extremely busy. A lot of my business comes from past customers and clients. And what I've discovered in Hard Knocks is if I put a little bit more time in making more calls, even to my sphere of influence, it yields a positive result. That's my comment.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. And let me share. I don't want to add. Oops. Give me a second here. I think I've got to do this. Just want to share my calendar because a lot of people go, "Oh, I'm so busy," and I go, "Well, I'm a lot busier than you." Share this should pop up. Okay, are you guys seeing my calendar?
Yes.
All right. Now this is mine this week, but I want to show you last week because this was the really hectic part. So this is 7 a.m. here, and down here is 9 p.m. I want to show it because when you're saying I'm really busy, I have director of agent performance. I have co-manager of the Rochester Century 21 office. I have my own real estate business. I have my officiating. And then on top of it, I have my personal life. All right. So when Jerome brings that up, that's what hit me is last week was a really busy week. And this one isn't much different for me. But orange you'll see is my manager and director position for the company serving Century 21 and Coldwell Banker. Green is my real estate stuff. And the purple is personal. This is me time and wife time, if you will, family time. And the yellow is my officiating. So when you take a look at this, this was really busy. The only thing I don't have in here was Michigan football game. Not that I went to it, but I do like to watch it on TV. Yes, I schedule that because I want to be somewhere with that game on the TV. And that's what this big hole was. So my Saturday was full. My Sunday was full. There's church. Then off of my friends. There's all of this stuff. Well, and then on top of it, guys, this is a game ending at around 9 p.m. I'm getting home at 10 p.m. So it's work-life balance. This is not work, it's hobby. That's really personal. But the bottom line is, if you schedule it and you give yourself the appropriate amount of time, you're going to be fine. And life will be just dandy. And when it starts getting a little too hectic, like tonight, I left that open. Why would I leave Thursday night open? This is really now, this is me time. And if I was smart, I'd actually put in here from 5 o'clock on, me time. Now, what that's for is simply this. I need to be prepared so that my wife and I can leave on Saturday morning for our camping trip. Why am I doing that? Although there's all this white space, there's no white space there. This football game I'm doing for my officiating, I need to be there at 6 p.m. I need to leave probably about 5:30. So that's really 5 o'clock until about 10:30 before I get back home. All of tonight will be prepping for us to do this. I could have filled that with another basketball game, and I'd love to do that, by the way. I would have loved to have done that, but that would not be a good balance. So you need to plan. And by the way, color code your calendar. Color code it so that you can take a quick look and see where your time's being put in at. This helps you bring balance to your life. It will help you become productive in regards to real estate. All right. Any questions at all toward that?
Thanks for sharing.
So, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, we can be really, really busy in a lot of different ways. But as long as you love what you're doing, or you may hate a portion of it, but you love the result. I'm speaking of prospecting. That's a great one. Jamie, I see you got your hand up there.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Jamie Sherlock from Port Huron. I just wanted to introduce myself and my new mentee, Connor. He just started with our company, I believe, last week. And so this is our first meeting. He's working a couple other jobs, but we're trying to get him going. So I just wanted to introduce.
Awesome. Hey, Connor, how much are you making at the other jobs?
I make about 25 an hour on the weekends. And then my other job is 16 an hour.
Awesome. Remember the formula I gave you up there at front. How many no's can you get instead?
You said 5 an hour?
Yeah. So think about that. Here's what I would share with you, because this is something that I want you to consider. I learned this from a good old friend. His name is Floyd Wickman. And he taught us this: life's a dance. It's 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. Now, what I learned about that dance is that if anytime I'm going to take steps forward, guess what goes on first? 2 back. If I'm going to move forward, I'm probably going to have to take a couple of steps back to move ahead from where I was at. So I'll take those steps back as long as I'm moving 3 or 4 forward. So you can interpret what I mean by that. You might suffer for a little bit, but if you really commit to the scripts, to not accepting the no, and, Jamie, I believe, can share with you again a little bit more regarding the response pattern, because that was what Montoya was sharing, and what Dan was sharing. Don't accept the no and hang up. Just agree and ask the next question, looking for the opportunity to close. The other thing, get into speed board and just do what it says.
Mhm.
Don't question it. If it says go jump in the lake, just go jump in the lake. It doesn't say that, by the way, but just do what it says. And when you go, well, I don't really understand, then you go see your mentor, Jamie. You go see Heather. You go see Stacy. You go see somebody else in the office, and you get the help that you need. And by the way, in the office, that's the best place for you to be. Plan. So look, you're working these other jobs. Plan your time in the office, just like Alana was saying. Alana, excuse me. Plan your time in the office. That's where you're going to get the most done, the most productive. And oh, by the way, you can only sit there and do nothing for so long. Let me give you one other thing about being in the office. Don't look for evidence of people doing what we've just told you. Don't look for the evidence that somebody else is on the phone making calls. I don't believe that you're going to see that yet. We're working on it. But you just got to jump in blind faith. Know that you got to talk to people somehow. And it's either this, it's face-to-face, or using technology to do text messaging, instant messaging, and things of that nature. All right. Connor, welcome. Jamie, thank you. Guys, I'm showing 11 o'clock straight up. Please spread the word. The more we get on these calls again now, the more effective it's going to be for you, because we can get all of the sharing that you as our mentors are doing. And guys, thank you again. And what you guys are doing, the best thing you do is go do the work, bring your questions, because unless if you've got that, I don't have much to give you, but I have no script outside of, we're going to start with good news and I'm going to ask you for what you need help with. And it's written from there. So go talk to people. There's those 2 tasks. What are they? Goal projector and dreams. Get those copies to your mentors and your manager. And by the way, make sure that both the mentors and the managers are meeting with you once a week. Okay. You need to hold them accountable so that they can hold you accountable. It's a team concept. So guys, have a wonderful one. Thank you for being with us today. Hopefully it's helping you out. Remember, these will get posted. I apologize until I get a good system. They're not going up in a timely fashion, but I'm working on it. We'll run from there. You guys have a great week. Go make money, talk to people.
See ya.